Brian Rolapp just split the PGA Tour into winners and leftovers, and he did it with one rule. Track 1 for the chosen few. Track 2 for everybody else. No vote, no warning. Just a line drawn straight through the membership, and 25 careers got shoved onto the wrong side of it overnight. Rory McIlroy has questions. Phil Mickelson, watching from the outside on a LIV, has a lot more than that. So what exactly is this system? Why are players calling it a formal inequality machine dressed up as meritocracy? And how bad does this get before somebody in charge actually blinks? Stick around because we're breaking down every piece of it right now. Hit subscribe before we get going, because the next chapter of this is going to be wild. Let me set the scene, because this isn't a rumor and it isn't a message board theory. Rolapp said it himself out loud to a room full of reporters. A two-tiered system. Track 1 and Track 2. Bigger fields, more events, and, his word, not ours, scarcity. He tried to walk that word back later. Said it was misunderstood. Sure it was. Nobody accidentally says scarcity about their own players. On paper, the pitch reads like more opportunity. Nearly doubling the number of signature events. Bringing back cuts. Expanding fields past 100 players. Sounds good, doesn't it? Real life had other plans. Buried inside that plan is a promotion and relegation structure, a hard, permanent line between the players who get the big events, the big money, the big TV windows, and the players who get whatever's left over. Rolapp calls it meritocracy. Critics call it what it actually is. A system that doesn't fix inequality. It writes inequality straight into the rulebook. Now here's the part that should stop you cold. Only the top 100 players on the FedEx Cup points list keep full playing privileges going into this new structure. Last year it was 125. Read that again. 25 careers, gone, squeezed out by a number on a spreadsheet nobody voted on. Guys who've spent years grinding, wrecking their bodies, missing birthdays and anniversaries to chase a card, and the goalposts moved on them overnight. No ballot, no warning, no say. Rolapp calls this aggressive meritocracy, said the tour wouldn't be overly bound by tradition under his leadership. Bold words for a press conference. A lot less bold if you're one of the guys about to get demoted to Track 2, watching the sport's best events, best fields, and best paydays disappear over the horizon without you. Want to hear the part that really lit the fuse? Rolapp openly admits Track 1 and Track 2 events will sometimes run the same week, meaning part of the tour's own membership gets actively steered away from the marquee tournaments, while another group plays for the real money on the real stage. Same week, same sport, two different worlds. He says it's not about cutting opportunities. Says you won't see that once the dust settles. The players who just watch their own status get sorted into the lower tier are, understandably, done taking his word for anything. Mickelson changes the equation entirely. Six-time major champion. Still one of the most recognizable names in the sport. Currently building his second act on LIV after torching nearly every bridge he had with the tour on his way out the door. You'd think a guy on the outside wouldn't have a stake in this fight anymore. You'd be dead wrong. Mickelson has spent 2 years watching the tour from a distance, watching exactly how a rival league operates, watching every single misstep the tour has made trying to hold its own structure together. When a guy who's lived on both sides of that exact argument starts talking about a system that splits the field into haves and have-nots, people don't just listen, they pay attention. And McIlroy, the loyal one, the guy who stayed put while everyone else jetted off for Saudi money, has gone from cautiously optimistic about Rolapp's hire to visibly running out of patience with how this whole thing is landing. That is not nothing. When the player who stayed starts asking hard questions in public, that's the tell. Something in that room has already cracked. Notice the pattern, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every single time Rolapp faces a hard question about fairness, about the players losing status under this plan, about whether scarcity means exactly what it sounds like it means, the answer comes back rehearsed. More competitive, more compelling, a bigger stage for the sport. Same lines, different press conference every time. And every time those lines get recycled into a controversy this specific, they land a little flatter than the last. Think about who truly benefits from a tour that looks this shaky. Every crack in the PGA Tour's foundation is a free advertisement for LIV Golf. A leaked criticism, a public disagreement, a tier system that makes half the membership feel like second-class citizens. All of it quietly whispers the exact same pitch to every player sitting on the fence. Come over here. We don't sort you into tiers. LIV's leadership barely has to lift a finger right now. The tour's own restructuring is doing the recruiting for them, for free. And this is the part that should genuinely worry Rolapp more than any single bad headline. This isn't players griping one at a time anymore. When McIlroy, the company man, and Mickelson, the exile, start raising the exact same concern from opposite ends of the sport's civil war, that's not two isolated complaints. That's the start of a shared voice. And a shared voice is the one thing this plan cannot survive, because the entire model depends on players staying divided enough that no single group can ever push back together. Here's the hard truth, and it applies to every league that's ever tried this. You cannot build a fan product, a sponsor product, a TV product on top of a locker room that feels sordid, ranked, and powerless. It has never once worked in the history of professional sports. Not one time. Every organization that's tried to impose a hard hierarchy on its own athletes without their buy-in has eventually had to answer for it, publicly, loudly, and far more painfully than if they'd just listened the first time around. So where does this actually go? Maybe Rolapp softens the track 1 and track 2 lines before they're locked in for good. Maybe the criticism fades into background noise the way most tour controversies eventually do. Or maybe this becomes the exact moment people point back to years from now, the instant the players stopped quietly accepting decisions handed down to them and started demanding an actual seat at the table. Nobody knows yet. But one thing feels certain. The goodwill Rolapp walked in with is not unlimited, and every new tier, every new cut line, every new scarcity headline spends a little more of it. Golf is standing at a crossroads it has never faced in quite this shape before. LIV already wrecked the financial side of the sport. Now a promotion-relegation plan threatens to wreck the trust side too, right as the tour needs its players more unified than ever, not less. Fans who show up in the rain and stay till the last putt drops are watching every second of this unfold in real time, half furious, half unable to look away. All right, your turn. Does this two-tier system get fixed before it fractures the tour for good? Or is this the move that finally pushes the fence-sitters to LIV? Drop your take below, and give me one word if you can. I read every single comment. If you're somehow still not subscribed, come on, what are we doing here? Tap that button, hit the bell so you never miss the next update, and send this to one golf buddy who needs to see it, because this story is nowhere near over. Catch you in the next one.